All right. Hi, Aarin. I want to thank you for inviting me to join you on this week's edition of Aarin's Take on Next Play. For the video viewers, my name is Glenn, and it's an honor to be here with you today.
Yeah. Hello, guys. Welcome to a new episode of Aarin's Take on Next Play. My name is Aarin, and I made this channel because I love basketball and I want to teach people about it and have fun here. So we'll get into the new episode now.
All right. Well, first of all, I will give you some credit for my renewed interest in the NBA. I was a fan back when I was closer to your age, and when I followed the Philadelphia 76ers. They were my favorite team at the time, and the stars then were Dr. J, Julius Erving, right? And kind of followed them through several generations, and I gradually lost interest. Now back then, I have to tell you, the Celtics were the hated rival, right? Because they were in the same division, and they were always so good. And so I know of the Celtics, but it wasn't. I didn't have the same appreciation for them today. Now, watching you and seeing your interest in the NBA and this channel itself, it's helped to bring me back, kind of revitalize my interest in the NBA. And I can say honestly now, while they're not, I'm loyal to my Sixers. I have a different view on the Celtics these days. Now, I find myself kind of rooting for them a little bit, because of you. So anyway, I want to thank you for helping to bring around my interest in the NBA again.
Yeah, and thank you for coming for this episode. And you guys are all the way from Florida, so
it's an honor. Boy, this podcast has been in various places in the world.
Yes.
So this is great. All right.
So let's step into the playoffs.
All right, let's talk about that.
Great. Now, I have talked about a little bit of it, but to people that are new and this is your first video, we can talk about the beginning. So the first round, there were a few teams, 4 different pairs of teams that were going against each other on each division.
Right. Each conference, Western and Eastern?
Yes. So 8 on each, and they would go to 4, then 2, then 1 against 1, and then whoever wins that, championship. So it was a very intense matchups, and I want to give a shout out to the Nuggets for pushing themselves going forward, and also really doing their best to keep on track. They beat the Clippers in 7 games, actually, because they did have a good advantage going in Ball Arena. So they won in 7. They had a lead of 25 in the third quarter, so everyone almost knew they were going to wrap things up because they weren't that clutch team, the Clippers, and Harden didn't have a very good night. This is his, I think, another time where he shot under 30% from the field, so not 30, but yeah, it happens to the best of us. But he tried his best, and he got a lot of assists, though. He always is good at that. And then we'll go to Oklahoma City playing Memphis. So what kind of just threw me off is that the Memphis Grizzlies fired Brandon Jenkins, and who is an amazing coach. And they had a great record 3 years ago. And last year they didn't even make the playoffs, but this year they've done way better. And then the last moment of the season, they just turned it around, going really bad with their new coach. I'm not saying their coach is bad, but it's just, I don't know what happened to them. They kind of just turned around. But still, shout out to them. They won in the play-in. So the play-in is when the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th seed teams play against each other. So one against the other. Whoever wins that will go to the next part. Whoever wins will go into the playoffs. And the loser will face the other winner of the other matchup, and whoever wins that will get into the playoffs. So it's a few teams getting into a job, and Orlando made it. Then the Mavs lost. The same with the Hawks, and then the Grizzlies surpassed that level. So it's a harsh thing to do. It's more games. But sadly, they got swept by Oklahoma because of their greatness in offense and defense, especially in game 1 where they won by like 53.
Wow.
And it was just a blowout. But it was great. But they did get swept. And now it's actually game 7. The Nuggets' second game 7 in a row against Oklahoma. They're playing against each other. It's just back-to-back games, winning and losing for each team. But so it's now game 7. The game has started right now. It's happening. I think it's like around the first quarter. And I think the Nuggets will win. I want the underdogs to win because they have so much good ability. They do not have home court advantage because they have because Oklahoma has the better record in the regular season. But I hope the Nuggets will win this and in the game 7. And what do you think?
Well, a couple things. You mentioned the play-in, so that's something new to me. That didn't exist back when I was your age.
Yeah, it was new.
And so I'm glad you sort of explained how that works. It sounds sort of like the wild card.
Yes,
in
exactly.
the other leagues, right? They get to kind of
have a chance.
Yeah, have
to
a
go
chance
back.
to work their way in, while the teams that earn the top 6 seeds or so they sit and rest.
Yes.
So it's interesting. And I think you mentioned something to me before we were talking. That we have a team in this year that might be is it a 10 seed?
Yes, the Miami Heat were the 10 seed, and they were one of the first, I think the first team, the first 10 seed to get into the playoffs. But sadly got swept by the Cavaliers.
That's what it was, yeah. Okay.
Which they barely even surpassed them, so.
But in today's game, I'm going to be rooting like you. I'm rooting for the Denver Nuggets. I'm hoping, pulling for them to pull it off in their second game 7.
Yes, this season. So.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's so many game 7s that already happened, and I haven't been. This is the year I've focused more on the playoffs. Last year was not as much, but still, I like it. It's really interesting. It's getting intense. And then when we're going to the West, going back, so we had other teams competing. So we, oh my God, I'm getting blank.
Did you want to review the Western Conference from the beginning? Is that where you're going?
Yeah. So other teams were competing. So we'll go back from that. Sure. We'll go to the Eastern Conference now. So in the first round, it was the second seed. So it's like we were talking earlier. It's one versus the first seed versus the 8th seed, the second versus the 7th seed, the third versus the 6th, and the 4th versus the 5th.
Yeah.
So it goes in pairs.
Right.
And
so what happened in the East? Which of the in the top 8 did the seeds that were expected to win because they were a higher seed prevail?
Okay, so this was crazy in the Eastern Conference, I've got to say, because the first was the 2nd seed versus the 7th seed, so Orlando versus the Celtics. And I thought they were going to sweep them, the Celtics, but they did win Game 3, the Magic, but they won 4-1. So they were really strong that whole time, shooting well from 3, but they lost in 6 by the Knicks. I have to give a big shout out to them for how much they've done.
Oh, the Pistons?
No, the Knicks. In the semifinals.
Oh, you're talking about
yeah.
the Celtics. I
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
So I wanted to give a big shout out to them for beating them in 6.
It's very big of you to say
Yeah.
that, because I know the Celtics are your team, and it's hard when you have to talk about the team that
Yeah. They just kind of choked themselves in 3 of the games, but I'm giving the prayers to Jason Tatum for the Achilles.
When you lose a player like Tatum, it's hard to prove.
Rupturing it should hurt. But he did undergo successful surgery, so that was good.
Good news.
And they did win Game 5.
That's right.
Look, the problem with the Celtics for the first 2 games, they were 25 for 100 combined in the first 2 games, which is really bad.
Not so good.
And the other 2 games, they were 60 for 137, which is actually better.
Sure.
A little less than 50%, but it's better than 25%. So they also really stepped up. It's just they choked. They're in games 1 and 2. They were up by 20, and they actually lost. It was their defense and offense at the end by the Knicks to give out those 2 wins. So they were already up by 2-0. And then Celtics won Game 3 in Madison Square Garden.
That was a little bit of a because they lost 2 at home, and now here they're on the road, so they really kind of needed to win that game.
They really needed.
They did.
And yeah, so it was good to at least be down 2-1, having a win. Then Game 4 was the game Jason Tatum got hit that injury late in the 4th quarter. So they were up by 14 in the 3rd quarter, and then they lost by 8, 113 to 121. But late, it was just Jason Tatum. I think they almost would have won with their offense. Like, he already had 42 points. He was hot from shooting. He had a big streak from 3. He was shooting well. And that kind of just stopped them. And then Game 5 was hard, but they won by 25, 102 to 127, with Jaylen Brown doing great. All 3-point shooting again was great. 22 threes made. And then Game 6 was their game because they were down 27 at the end of halftime. It's just that second quarter, 18 to 37. That's amazing. But
all the other quarters, they were right close to one another, which is that one second quarter. Yeah. And
then the rest, every single quarter, the Knicks had more points. So they lost by 38, 81 to 119. But it was actually good for the Celtics, good hustle. And they lost in 6. 6 is not too bad, but 4-2, and that's what happened. So
I mean, you told me there's 30 NBA teams.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're going down to just one team. So it's hard to be that one team that goes all the way. So if they made it this far. Any teams that made it this far, it's still a good thing, right?
And the Knicks were the 3rd seed, so just one less.
Yeah, they were just behind them. Yep.
And then when we go, it was the Pacers versus the Bucks in the first round. And so
was that one close?
No. They didn't have Damian Lillard in Game 1. He had some vein problems, like in his vein. Then he actually was set to come back in Game 2. In Game 2, he got injured again. So then it was only Giannis that they could only depend on him to win this. But he couldn't just do it by himself. So they lost 4-1, and the great amazing offense, amazing shooting from 3, amazing defense by the Pacers. And shout out to them also. And then the Pacers played the number 1 seed, which is actually, I forgot to tell you, the Bucks are the number 5 seed. Okay. And then, so lots of injuries for them. And so Cleveland played, and they didn't have Darius Garland in the first 2. He had a toe injury. And then, no, that was actually Game 1. And then Game 2, we had 3 of their main players, DeAndre Hunter, Evan Mobley, and Darius Garland for the first So 3 of them, and they were up by 19 in both games for the Cavaliers. Plus, they were in Cleveland. I thought it was going to be a win, 2 easy wins for them. I thought it was going to be a 4-1 win. Actually, the Pacers somehow caught up with so many good clutch points. And just like the Celtics, they kind of choked at the end. So that happened twice. They were up by 2. Then again, the Pacers, in Pacers Arena, they lost. It's just the Cavaliers were up the whole time again, like 25 they were up by. And then in game 4, the Pacers were up by 41 at halftime. So it was pretty obvious. And then they lost by only 20, so not too bad, but 129 to 109. Then in game 5, Cleveland lost at home again. They were up, then they were down. It just went back and forth. But the Pacers won, so they went to the finals.
Yeah.
And then
that was after Cleveland had a pretty amazing regular season.
Yeah, they had 64-18, so the same as the Celtics last year.
That's a pretty incredible record.
Yeah, and OKC has had the best record this year, 68-14, which is the 6th best record in NBA history for a team. And the first best was actually 73-9 by the Warriors in 2016, I believe.
Okay.
And then when we go back in the Western Conference, there was the Warriors versus the Rockets, and I thought the Rockets would sweep them, honestly. I didn't even think they would even make the playoffs. So, but they actually won 7 games. They were up by 3-1, and then the Rockets came back to get into a game 7, and they won. So that's great for the Warriors, especially. Series, everyone was playing well. Just the Rockets locked up Steph, so that's one of the reasons they lost a few games. So he didn't have many opportunities to shoot the ball. And then Minnesota played the Lakers, and I thought the Lakers would win with Luka and LeBron playing, but they lost. They were tied 1-1, then they just went off the Timberwolves. They won the next 3 in a row, so they lost 4-1 the Lakers, and then they are playing the Warriors, and sadly Steph Curry got a hamstring injury, but it was said he might. He's recovering, so that's good for him. But they couldn't just rely on other players like Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga, and Jimmy Butler to do it. So they lost the series 4-1.
Yeah. So I've heard you mention a few examples of a trend that's happened in the playoffs so far. So Celtics lost Tatum. It was hard for them to go on and win that series. Curry was lost to the Warriors, and they couldn't prevail. And then earlier, I'm going to get the name wrong because I don't know.
Darius Garland?
Thank you. Yes. Was lost, and their team ended up not being able to carry on.
Yeah. It was a little hard for them to see that, but it was actually good for shooting and abilities. They're amazing players and the main guys. Donovan Mitchell had an ankle. He had something wrong with the ankle, but he was gone for the second half of the game. But he actually came back, so he didn't have any bad injury or anything. So, that was the playoffs so far.
Right, so if I remember right, and I'll need you to correct me if I'm wrong, and don't want to put you on the spot. So in the East, I think all 4 teams that made it to this last round were the expected winners, right? Seeds 1 through 4 all prevailed, right? Because you had
Okay.
Cleveland,
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah.
1 seed versus Indiana, the 4 seed, and then you had the Knicks and the Celtics, the 2 and 3 seeds prevail. But in the West, it was different, right? And some of the
Yeah.
underdogs, like the Warriors, were 1, and what was the other?
They were the 7th seed, actually.
Right.
The Warriors.
Yeah, and didn't another one of the lower seeds prevail?
Timberwolves?
The Timberwolves.
They were
yeah.
number 6.
Yeah, and they prevailed to this last
3.
one. Yep.
So it's a good pattern to recognize and see. Just amazing what's been happening in the playoffs. So now we'll get into the WNBA.
Yeah, that's exciting, right? They just started.
Yeah, they just started their season, actually. So they have great players. Caitlin Clark played her best friend, Angel Reese.
Are they best buds?
No, I'm being sarcastic. And actually, so Cleveland.
What happened in that game?
The Indiana Fever actually crushed the Sky.
Oh, wow.
They won by 35.
That's a big win.
Yeah, and even the Indiana Pacers, like Tyrese Halliburton, T.J. McConnell, Obi Toppin, the whole team came to the game, and they were cheering them on. So just like Caitlin Clark did at the Pacers games.
Okay. That's cool.
So it was good and great. And then so they won, and then we had other games happening here and there. Mystics played the Suns today. I'm not sure who won, but the Suns were up by 8 at one point, and then when I saw it with like 3 minutes left, they were down by 5. So the Mystics might have won. I'm not too sure.
So the Mystics are the Washington team,
Yes.
and the Suns are the Connecticut team.
Connecticut, yes. And then when we went on to the next parts, we also saw other teams playing, like the Lynx, the New York, the Liberty, with a great opener. They won. And then,
Starting off where they left off, right?
yeah, exactly. They won the championship last year. So I've been following more WNBA now, so I'm more interested now. I actually like it.
Yeah. We talked about that before at lunch today, right? And,
Yeah.
and one of the things that I appreciate about the WNBA is the shooting skill, right? You don't have as many players in the WNBA who can, let's say, dunk the ball as readily as they can in the NBA. And I think that adds another a feature to the game where where the women are having to display excellence in the fundamentals of the sport of basketball. And as an old timer, I appreciate that. And so I think it's fun to watch.
It's more hard for them also.
Sure.
Like they're shorter and like they don't grow taller.
Right.
Like 6'8" is like.
And what did we talk about at lunch today about the height of the?
It's actually the same as
the basketball rim is at the same height as it is for the men.
Yeah, and even though their ball is smaller, it's only 2 ounces and 1 inch wider. So, so it's not that bad actually, for a team like this. They don't have as many teams as the NBA, but
do you know how many teams they have? I don't.
not sure. I think they have like 15 or 14.
Okay. All right.
But they have kept. This just got founded, so like 1997. I think 1996 they started this whole thing, and so that's what's been happening. Not too much has happened because they just started like yesterday. And Paige Bueckers made her WNBA debut, and I saw her score her first points with the Dallas Wings. Like the Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, but she's great, amazing for UConn.
Yeah, well, it's good to see women's sports, kind of prevail and sort of, get the interest that I think it deserves in this country. I think what I can recall anyway, that and in the U.S. that kind of started, the interest in women's sport really started around the soccer team when they did so well in the Olympics and in the World Cup, I should say, and so now seeing, I think this is the next sport where the women's teams. Interest in those teams is really picking up around the country.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and so while we talked about the number of teams that exist right now in the WNBA being lesser, maybe 15, maybe around that number.
Yeah.
I expect to see it grow, just like the NBA did. They were a small league too at the start, and then they grew. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see WNBA kind of continue in its
like the
popularity.
NBA. Exactly. Yeah. Like the NBA is like 50 years older, so.
Right.
Like the 30s and 40s, they were there. I forgot to tell you guys, sorry, the playoffs actually, the Knicks played the Pistons in the first round, and the Knicks won in 6 with their clutch ability. So, and then, so I wanted to also do predictions for the Knicks and Pacers. This is now the conference finals, and this is not for the games, this is just the full-on series. So who's going to win the series, like what's going to be, like who's going to score more in total, like who will try and see, and then who will be the MVP. All right. So like how many points do you think they're going to score this whole series? Like how many games, and then so, I think, okay, I'll show you. I think Indiana is going to win. I know they have good clutch ability. And then for you, you can write who you want.
I'll tell you, this is partly with the heart rather than the head necessarily, but I'm going to go with the Knickerbockers from New York as who will prevail in this series.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't think they were going to beat the Celtics, but they did. Knicks. Now I come from northern New Jersey, so I have an affinity for the local team there.
I also wanted to give a shout out to someone at my school, my janitor. He's also really nice, and I love how much he's into basketball. He loves basketball, and he's like, go Celtics, and he's always cheering them on. And he has so much fun. We always talk about basketball together.
How cool.
And it's really nice to talk to him. So I wanted to give a shout out to him.
Can you say his name?
His name is Mr. Campbell.
All right. Well, that's how cool.
So Mr. Campbell, thank you. And for the score in total, actually, let's do games first.
Okay.
Games, I think they're going to win. Okay.
All right. So you think?
I think 6. Indiana will win 6.
All right. And I'm gonna have to say it's gonna be another exciting, down to the wire series, and in 7 games.
7. Okay.
So the Knicks will have to win it on the road, won't they? Because they're the underdog.
Actually, no. The Knicks have the better seed. They're number 4. The Pacers are number 4.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, because the
Knicks are number 3.
Well, then
so.
good, they'll have to win it at home.
And then the score. Let's see. So score is how many points they're going to score in all the games combined.
Oh.
I think 717 points. The Pacers are going to score in total in the 6 games.
So that's how many points Indiana will score in the 6 games.
Yes.
So I'm going to have to say how many points I think the Knicks will score in 7
Yes.
games. All right. All right. Well, I'm going big. 840.
Whoa. It's a big one.
We'll see.
So around 120 points every game
That's right.
If we're doing every.
That's right.
MVP of the series will be hard. I'm going with the usual, honestly, the one they will probably choose if you're an Indiana fan. The star. Tyrese Halliburton. And for you?
All right. Well, I'll tell you. As I admitted early on, I'm not as following this nearly as closely as Aarin does. So we talked about this one, and I said I needed a little guidance. And so Aarin asked me, what kind of a player do I appreciate? And so we talked about it, and I kind of appreciate a gutty player, somebody who plays with a scrappiness. And so he suggested that Jalen Brunson fits that.
Yeah, he's clutch. He knows what he's doing, but he can guide them.
So with assistance from Aarin, that's my MVP pick.
Yeah, so this is how it looks. And those were the predictions. And before this episode ends, I wanted to talk about the trivia. The trivia I asked was how many teams and like how many teams have never won a championship, and like name one if you want. So I know I got some comments and they were really close. Some got right, and thank you for trying to people that tried. I hope more people could participate, but so it will be the answer was 10 teams. So 1/3 of the NBA teams have never.
To learn that.
That's a lot. So the teams are the Nets, the Hornets, the Pacers, the Clippers, the Grizzlies, the Timberwolves, the Pelicans, the Magic, the Suns, and the Jazz. And I really want the Pacers to win one, so that's why I voted them.
Okay, that makes sense.
And today's trivia will be. This is not just the conference finals. This is any round of the playoffs. But it was, when was the last time the Knicks and Pacers faced off in the playoffs? So you can say what year and what round. So the rounds will be, the first round is just the first round. And the second round, you can say second round or the semifinals, the third round or the conference finals, and the fourth would be the championship or the finals. And so yeah, there's 4 different parts.
Speaking of that trivia question, you mentioned something to me earlier about the Knicks and the Pacers meeting, and I wonder if you want to share that with the audience.
Yeah. So the last time they actually faced off in a conference finals was exactly 25 years ago from now in the conference finals. And it was actually the Knicks versus the Pacers.
And who won that?
The Knicks haven't played in over 25 years in the conference finals. And like you were saying, actually the Pacers won. Hefty game there with Reggie Miller going off because he was the all-time three-point scorer before Steph Curry and all those players.
That's a name from my era. I recognize that one.
So he was great, and so he's clutching those playoffs, and this is a big rematch happening.
And did the Pacers go on to win the championship that year?
No, because they've never won this.
That's right, obviously, right. So who won?
They lost to the Lakers.
The Lakers.
Yeah. So, but they got really close.
Cool.
Yeah, so...
Well, this was very interesting and exciting. And again, I appreciate you inviting me to join you.
Thank you.
I'll enjoy watching the series as you continue it on.
Thank you so much for being in this video. And we'll see you in the next episode. And this is Aarin's Take on Next Play. Bye. Hey guys, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Bye.